great stuff we're talking about. And can you talk a little bit more about the difference between joy and happiness? For some people, they think, well, it's the same. Happy, happy, joy, joy.
No, they can overlap. I mean, happy, you can be so ecstatically happy that you, in that moment, recognize the very joy of your being. But if you link that moment up to a cause, that's because we met, or because I was in a particular place, or something happened to me, then it's already doomed to birth and death. And the joy that we're speaking of is what is always present. And it's not necessarily always a joy. It can be very quiet and sober. It's just the joy to be. I am. That's what a mystery that is, and the wonder. So joy and wonder are very similar in my...
Is it more like an enjoyment of everything, or?
That's more like a pleasure. Okay, so there's pleasure, and pleasure can bring you some happiness, but when it doesn't last. It always ends. And so, what Gangaji is speaking of is what can't be caused, and therefore it isn't lost, and doesn't depend on the particular state you're in. So,
that's it.
You know, we're traveling. It wasn't a pleasant thing to fly. We don't like flying, and we don't like the airplanes in this situation. Whatever it is. But that's a circumstance that kind of arises and falls on the ground of being. The ground of being doesn't change.
It doesn't hurt your joy.
It doesn't touch anything.
But it's not joy the way joy is normally.
It's not a happy face.
Yeah. It's not like we were like, oh, this is joyous.
So you're not like, oh, a delay, great, thank you for this. No.
And some people may be like that, and that's a possibility, but it's not our particular experience.
Yeah.
It's just that the joy is still the presence of beingness.
But when you say to Eli, you bring me joy, which you do you refer to?
And then I'm probably saying you bring me pleasure.
Okay.
And I'm appreciating that. It's one of the gifts of sensory being.
So this we're talking about, is it something, it's not something you can give to one another?
Right.
It's something you can not even share?
You can catch it though.
Catch it.
Catch it.
It's catching.
It's catching.
It's contagious.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you're catching it.
Yeah, you can see. I sometimes get goosebumps in these interviews. Yeah.
We're always transmitting something.
Yeah, I heard you talk about that before. Yeah.
Yes, and so this is catchable. This is the way we're actually communicating with each other.
Yeah.
So, we know from science that we don't have hard edges. Everything's energetically bleeding, and we're all in each other's energetic soup all the time. And so mostly what we call friends are the ones that are at our valence and willing to share our experiences, and we share their experiences, so we stay in a certain vibration together. And when you know, but that's so superficial. This is where there's a depth of being that can be communicated. When all that's out of the way, then that can even be there, but it's not an obscuration to what's already flowing.
Yeah, I sometimes experience with the best friends. They say, "Oh, I can be myself with you."
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
You know,
that's right.
You don't mind if I wear this old T-shirt I have on for 10 years, or I put my feet on your couch up. Yeah. It's all good.
Because it's something deeper than that.
Yes, nothing to do with behavior.
Yeah.
And that's it.
So when people are watching and seeing the two of you sit together, you've been together for
35 years.
35 years.
1976.
You still look like you just catched each other at the Vondel Park a couple of hours ago.
We really like Vondel Park.
We love Vondel Park. We've gone through it all. And, from the 70s, the 80s. I mean, this is, we went through every possible permutation.
In our lifetime.
In our lifetime,
yeah.
how a relationship could be. We've had open relationship. We've had not an open relationship.
We've split up. We've gotten back together. Relationship is not usually linear. It has cycles and transformations and revelations.
But the beautiful thing is our relationship wasn't based on looks, wasn't based on superficial. It's like when I met Gangaji, I told her, "You're the brightest manifestation of light I've ever seen." And I still feel that way. It's still my experience. And so I fell in love with her soul. I fell in love with the depth of her integrity. I fell in love with her beautiful clarity and intention and willingness. And that's still here. And so that's our relationship is based on that ground.
And then our personalities sort of followed behind that, and
Well, fought with that. And,
yeah, because we both have strong personalities and different agendas as personalities, but
we both like being in charge.
yeah, but the basis was this mystery of love and recognition from the beginning. Very lucky that way.
So we lived together for 13 years before we got married, and we got married in a cave in Haleakala crater in Maui, and it was a mysterious thing the way the ceremony happened, and we just spontaneously spoke our own vows, and our vows were that as long as this relationship serves truth, then we're in it, and when the relationship no longer serves truth and our own awakening, then the relationship is over.
And with truth, you don't mean telling each other everything?
No.
You mean the deep, profound
Yes.
sense of...
Yes, the truth of who one is. And we hadn't met Papaji at that time, and so we were really focused on discovering that truth. We were committed seekers, and it was only, I think, 2 years after that we met Papaji and discovered what we were looking for.
Could you translate what the vows you just said in as long as I can be myself? Or no?
Because the thing is, as long as I can be myself is the ego's idea of myself.
Doing what I want to do.
Doing what I want to do. It's not that at all. I mean, that all has to be sacrificed. That's all up for grabs. That gets cuddled at the negotiating table.
And really, we didn't know what form it would take. We just knew, we knew that we didn't know, and we knew that the relationship could only have meaning if it was serving the awakening
That's what it was.
of each other and all beings.
Should every relationship have that purpose? No.
No.
But are we looking for... I sometimes think people say relationships are your biggest teachers. You know,
It can be.
I blame you of this and that, but it's in me.
That's right. Any two animals in a box are going to have to learn how to deal with it. And that's going to be a teacher for you.
We have internal relationships too, you know. We have the relationship of ourselves as a spiritual seeker, as a worker, as a husband, as a wife, a child. And it's if those relationships, our inner relationships, our outer relationships, are in service to truth, then finally they are all burnt up in the service.
And I said in service of truth, but let's say in service of awakening.
Yes.
That would make it's cleaner. Because there's always my truth versus your truth, and I need to tell you my... It's none of that. It's not that level. So, in service of awakening, which is actually, I think, more accurate with what we actually said our vows were, in service of each other's awakening.
But to me, it seems that both of you are awakened. Could you say the relationship has burned up? The tool has gone? What's then still the reason to...
That wasn't the reason for the relationship.
No.
The reason for the relationship was love.
Yeah.
But as long as the relationship served the awakening, it could stay. And it still serves the awakening. It serves in it, whatever it does. It's deeper than that.
We've tried to get out of this relationship at different times.
Both
He'll
of
try
us.
to get out,
Yeah.
I'll try to get out. And something so powerful just brings us back together. And finally there's a surrender to that. It's a surrender to love.
Yeah, surrender to love.
Not needing the other to conform to any idea of how that is served, but just recognizing it is served.
Because we don't fit each other's models mentally, or we don't... This isn't... When Gangaji was looking for the ideal man, this is not what it was.
Isn't that what was on the...
Not the list. I didn't fit any of the
Which
criteria.
shows you how useless those lists are.
And I didn't want an ideal woman. I wasn't looking for a relationship. I was very happy being on my own. I've been a spiritual seeker on my own for years, and it was fun. I loved my mission. I loved my life. I wasn't interested in family. I never wanted babies. I didn't want to settle down. I didn't want a career. And so I wasn't looking for that at all. This was like something I avoided, I fought against. We lived together for 13 years before we got married. Because, why? What's the point? But the greatest gift, it was the greatest gift that the goddess ever gave me. It was this goddess in form that could be partners, tame me.
It's a mystery. Relationship, everything is a mystery.
So all those sites with parship.nl and relationcommunity.nl where people fill in all the ideal partner, you say...
That's all animal husbandry.
Well,
The?
Animal husbandry.
You
You
know,
take care of the chickens, you take care of the goats, you take care of the humans.
we search for connection, and that's true of us as human animals, because connection is protection, so it's for our survival, and it's part of the richness of life, is feeling seen and sharing good times and bad times. But at a deeper level, that connection must be found alone. And so even though we've been in relationship, and our relationship has definitely served each other's deepening awakening, each of us knows without a doubt that we are individually responsible for our particular version of reality. And we have to meet that and sink deeper into it. And that's the way we've served each other too.
So when I went off to find my teacher, I was 43 years old, and Gangaji thought I was having a midlife crisis, because I had to leave everything behind and go off. I didn't know who I was going to find or where I was going to go, but I knew I was being called. I had to go find my teacher. And so I had to do that alone.
I was wrong. And it's great to be wrong, because then he came back and got me, and took me to meet Papaji as well.
So nothing wrong to be wrong.
It's to be expected.
It's useful. That's how we learn.
We have to be willing to make mistakes, because that is the way, as life form, and as human life form, animal life form, that we learn. We know that. We see children, toddlers falling and getting up, but somehow when we reach the big babyhood, or what we think is adulthood, we start to withdraw from mistakes, and so our life gets smaller. So even with Papaji, I met him and I fell in love with him, and I recognized this is my teacher that I've been praying for, and I was having incredible experiences, but there was a moment that arose in me that was telling me this is a mistake, and it was a shock, and it came with it some of my old Christian conditioning that I thought I had left way behind, but it just got stirred up, and there was a crucial crossroads where I had to be willing, if this was a mistake, to discover it's a mistake. But I had to trust my experience, and in that's the freedom of growing up, the freedom of being an adult, rather than the slavery of being what we think is grown up, even what we think freedom is.
So just start taking risks.
Yes,
You
why
can't.
not?
Take risks or don't take risks. Find yourself first.
That's a risk.
That's the risk. That's the ultimate risk. Because to find yourself, you have to be willing to die to everything you think you are. That's terrifying. That's a huge risk. That's taking a step off the known into the abyss of the unknown. That's the biggest risk. And if you take that step, everything else will follow quite naturally. Otherwise, taking risks means, well, you can go bungee cord jumping or jump out of planes or whatever it is. It brings you a high for a moment, but it doesn't last. Like great athletes get into the zone where they've transcended their ego, they've transcended their mind, and something else takes over. But it only lasts for a moment, and then it's gone. So you take the ultimate risk once and for all. You commit yourself, in this moment I must be free no matter what. And you dive into the unknown. And everything else will take care of itself, risks or not.
So last question, the final big question. When do I know when I'm ready to take the big leap, the risk to die?
Right now.
Right now.
Yes.
No more excuses.
That's it.
And the final excuse is the discussion of it.
The question I'm right now asking.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm just, okay.
It's hope in the future.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much.
Beautiful.
So great.
Really
Thank you.
wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Totally real.